The Ink to the Beast. Jacob Holt sat at his desk, staring at a blank page. Once a famous horror writer, he hadn't written anything in months. His fans were waiting, his publisher kept calling, but no matter how hard he tried, his mind stayed empty. One stormy evening, while searching through old boxes, Jacob found a fountain pen he had bought at an antique shop years ago. It was strange and heavy, with odd symbols carved along its surface. "Maybe you'll bring me some luck," Jacob muttered as he picked it up. The moment the pen touched the paper, something clicked. Words flowed from him effortlessly, as if the pen itself guided his hand. Jacob wrote about a horrifying creature, a shadowy beast with glowing red eyes and claws sharp enough to shred metal. It prowled through a small town, leaving destruction in its wake. The story felt alive. The details were so vivid Jacob could almost hear the creature's growls and feel the fear of the townspeople. Time slipped away, and by the time he finished the first chapter, it was past midnight. Satisfied, Jacob set the pen down and went to bed, not noticing the faint glow of the carvings on its surface. The next morning, Jacob sipped his coffee while scrolling through the news. His stomach twisted when he saw the headline: "Mysterious animal attack on local farm." A farmer's livestock had been found dead, ripped apart in the night. The description sent shivers down Jacob's spine: deep claw marks, shredded bodies. It sounded exactly like the scene he had written. "No way," Jacob whispered, shaking his head. "It's just a coincidence." But deep down, unease gnawed at him. That evening, he couldn't resist. He picked up the pen again, telling himself it was just a story. The words poured out faster this time. The beast grew more dangerous, hunting people who ventured too close to the woods. Jacob's heart raced as he wrote, his fingers flying over the page. The next morning, the news grew darker. A jogger had gone missing. Authorities found torn clothing and strange claw marks on the trail. Jacob's unease turned into full-blown fear. This wasn't just a story anymore. By the third night, Jacob was terrified. More people disappeared, and neighbors reported hearing growls and scratching at their doors. Determined to stop, Jacob locked the pen in a drawer and vowed not to write another word. But the next morning, he woke up at his desk. The pen was in his hand, and pages of the story were filled with new horrors. He had no memory of writing them. It got worse. Shadows moved in the corners of his home. He heard low growls outside his windows and saw glowing red eyes staring at him from the darkness. The beast wasn't just in his story anymore. It was here. Jacob tried to destroy the pen. He smashed it with a hammer, threw it into the river, and even set it on fire. But every time, it reappeared on his desk, untouched and waiting. He realized he had no choice. If the pen had the power to create the beast, maybe it could destroy it too. Jacob sat down, gripping the pen tightly. His hand trembled as he began to write. This time, he gave the townspeople a fighting chance. They set a trap for the beast, luring it into a fiery pit in the woods. Jacob described every moment: the roar of the flames, the beast thrashing, and its final, agonized scream as it was consumed by fire. As he wrote the last sentence, the air in the room turned icy cold. The walls shook, and a deafening roar filled the house. Jacob dropped the pen and covered his ears. Then silence. The next day, the news reported no more attacks. The town seemed to return to normal. Relieved, Jacob buried the pen deep in the forest and swore he would never write again. Months later, while cleaning his study, Jacob found a notebook he didn't recognize. Its cover was rough, and the pages smelled faintly of smoke. Inside was a single line, written in crimson ink: "The ink never runs dry. The beast always returns." Jacob stared at the notebook, his heart pounding. That night, as the wind howled outside, he thought he heard it again, a low growl in the distance, growing closer.